Julia.
I'm Bobby.
And we're here to do another video. Today's video is on Apoquel, which is a very, very commonly prescribed medication. A lot of the time when people are giving Apoquel, they don't really know what it does, what it's for, why they're giving it, or what the side effects are. So we're here to kind of educate you.
Yeah. So, a lot of people kind of just get told, here's a medication, and they go, okay, and they give it, but they don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
So, what Apoquel is basically just a steroid, but it's not a steroid.
Yeah.
It behaves in the same way where it just blocks your body from feeling things.
Yeah. It covers up symptoms without fixing the problem.
Yeah. So the way I would say is, if you break your arm and you take a painkiller, your arm doesn't feel broken, but it still is.
Still is. Yeah.
So I'm personally not a fan of a lot of the steroids and Apoquel from that perspective of just, it doesn't fix the problem, it just kind of hides it, and animals don't know the difference.
Yeah, we'd much rather kind of figure out what's causing the issue, because Apoquel is used to stop itching. So we'd rather figure out what's causing the itching and then stop that, so then there's no stress on the body.
Yeah. So first off, we're going to talk about why your dog would be on Apoquel.
So, as per Apoquel's website, so it's fast acting, it's to relieve allergic reactions and itching in dogs.
They like to advertise that it's not a steroid or an antihistamine. I personally don't understand why they're advertising that it's not an antihistamine, because the difference between a steroid or anything along those lines and an antihistamine when it comes to an allergic reaction is the antihistamine actually stops the allergy from affecting you, whereas the steroid just kind of hides it. So an antihistamine is actually a much better option when it comes to allergies. Just think of humans. If you're having an allergic reaction, you're gonna take Reactin, Benadryl, one of the antihistamines. You're not gonna go take polysporin.
So another thing, it says right here that it can be used long-term or short-term. That's technically not true, so we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it's basically used to relieve pruritus, which is itching caused by mainly allergies, but any kind of itching.
Yeah. Now, the reason we started with this one is because it is the #1 prescribed medicine for allergy itch. And there is a lot of concerns about that. So the main focus of this video, because it is fairly well understood, a lot of videos will go into more detail as to what it is. But basically, Apoquel, when it came out, had a very strong marketing campaign that studies had proved that it was as safe as the placebo in the trial, and that it was perfectly safe for you to give it long term, as they advertise on their website.
Yeah.
Problem with the fact that they're not only advertising this on their website, but they've also told this to all of the vets, is the article from the FDA that we're about to show you.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add is they advertise that it's not a steroid because steroids have a lot of side effects, but Apoquel does as well, so it's not really a better option.
But the reason that your vet will prescribe it over a steroid is because most of them think it doesn't have the side effects. But that's just due to the marketing campaign.
Yeah. So, as a result of their marketing campaign, this is the letter that the FDA sent to Apoquel, or the company that makes Apoquel.
It also turns out that Apoquel the Zoetis, the manufacturer of Apoquel, also made a 6-month dewormer that was removed from the shelves for, it was about a year, I think it was on the shelves, and then they found out that it had a significant amount of side effects. So there is a bit of a trend here.
Mm-hmm. So to preface this a little bit, if you go back to here, they talk a lot about how safe it is and how amazing it is, and that, you know, it doesn't have very many side effects, things like that. But the FDA sent them a letter and said that their website was making false and misleading representations about the risks associated with Apoquel, and that it was misbranding it because they said that there was no long-term side effects.
One of the very concerning things listed in this is that it actually increases the risk of infection, which is a very big problem because a lot of the time it'll be given with an antibiotic, so they'll actually already have an infection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're basically making an immune-compromised animal.
Yeah.
And making them more susceptible to every kind of infection.
So here at the bottom of the page, it talks about Cosgrove 2013 and Cosgrove 2015. Cosgrove 2013 is the study that Apoquel is really relying on. It came back and said that the side effects were minuscule.
Yeah.
But it was a short-term study. In 2015, they did a long-term study, and that really started to disprove a lot of what they were saying.
Yeah, so on their website, they claim that this study actually says that it's safe for long-term use and that it can be used with other medications and there's no issues. But they actually found that any animal that has a pre-existing condition, it actually made it worse. And had its own side effects, such as urinary tract infections, vomiting, diarrhea, skin problems. So yeah, it contradicted everything that was reported in the initial study, but they were still referring to it because it was reported as safe in that study.
Now, one thing that isn't clear from this article, or this letter, is Apoquel's still saying all of these things on their website, despite the FDA kind of telling them to stop, and we weren't able to figure out kind of how they got away with that, if it's just that the FDA doesn't have as much power as we had assumed, or if
it's possible
there's some sort of loophole, or how that worked. But there is definitively studies proving that they are misleading people by saying that there's no side effects.
Mm-hmm. So if you see here, it says that Apoquel may increase susceptibility to infection.
So,
which is what really the FDA said.
Not giving it while you're doing an antibiotic, because you give an antibiotic for a bacterial infection.
Yeah, and that was what the FDA approved to put on the label.
I did notice that Apoquel has added a few of the warnings that they were requested, but they're kind of fine printy.
Yeah, well, it is right here, but they do say many times on their website that it's safe anyways. So yeah, anything else to add?
No, I just hope you all take away from that you really need to do your own research.
Mm-hmm. Always ask questions. If the vet is giving your dog a medication, ask him what it does. Ask him what it is. Ask him if there's any studies done on it.
Yeah, a lot of the time what will happen is the vet will only get information from the sales rep. So in a case like this where Apoquel is caught lying, they aren't required to go back to every single vet and say, hey, sorry, I lied.
Yeah, so they basically have the information that they were given initially. Yeah. Some vets might have done their research, but most of the time we found that Apoquel is being prescribed a lot still. So.
Yeah. So just be careful. There's definitely going to be cases where you don't have any other option.
Yeah.
And Apoquel does, still according to these studies, appear to be safe in the short term.
Short term, yeah.
But just make sure that you're getting that underlying issue solved. Because you don't want to just rely on these types of medications for the rest of their lives. You want to try and get rid of the issue so that you can just kind of use it as a stopgap while you're fixing the problem to get rid of some symptoms and just solve the underlying issue and move forward.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, thank you for watching.
Thank you.